There is an ancient and profound illusion that exists in the minds of most men. It is the belief that to be strong, one must be hard. From a young age, we are taught to build walls, to forge an iron will, to project an unbreakable exterior, and to stand like a stone against the relentless storms of life. We are told that resilience is a matter of density, that the man who survives the longest is the one who has hardened himself the most against the world. But if you look closely at the natural world, and if you observe the deepest truths of human psychology, you will realize that this concept of strength is fundamentally flawed. Hardness is an illusion of power. When a violent storm rips through a forest, it is not the flexible, yielding bamboo that is destroyed. It is the mighty, rigid oak that is violently uprooted and snapped in half. The oak is strong, yes, but it is rigid. And in the universe of physics, as well as the universe of the human mind, whatever is entirely rigid is destined eventually to be broken. The true master of life does not seek to become a wall of stone. He seeks to become something entirely different. He seeks to become a force that cannot be grasped, cannot be wounded, and cannot be destroyed, no matter how much pressure is applied. This was the ultimate realization of one of the greatest martial artists and philosophers of the modern era, Bruce Lee. Long before he became a global icon, he was a student grappling with his own temper, his own frustrations, and his own rigid ego. He realized that his tension, his anger, and his desire to force the world to submit to his will were actually his greatest weaknesses. His legendary philosophy can be distilled into a single, hauntingly beautiful directive: be water, my friend. But what does it actually mean to be water in a psychological sense? Most people misinterpret this quote. They hear the word water and they think of passivity. They think of weakness. They think of surrendering to the will of others, letting people walk all over them, and having no boundaries. This is a tragic misunderstanding. Water is not passive. It is the single most destructive and unstoppable force on the planet Earth. It carves the Grand Canyon out of solid rock. It levels entire cities in the form of a tsunami. It crushes steel submarines in the lightless depths of the ocean. Water is not weak, it is formless. And because it is formless, it is invincible. To become fluid in your own life is to adopt this exact same psychological invincibility. It is the process of untethering your sense of self from the rigid, fragile ego you have constructed over the years, and learning to navigate the world with a mind that is entirely adaptable, instantly responsive, and completely free of artificial tension. When you achieve this state, nothing can break you, because there is nothing solid left to break. To understand how to cultivate this state, we must first examine the architecture of your own rigidity. Look at how you move through your life right now. You possess a very specific image of who you are. You have a concept of your status, your intelligence, your dignity, and your worth. This self-image is your psychological form. It is the cup you have poured yourself into. And because you have identified so completely with this form, you spend an enormous amount of psychological energy defending it. When someone disrespects you, they are striking at your form. When a plan fails, reality is contradicting your form. When you are ignored, rejected, or underestimated, the impact is felt directly by this solid structure of your ego. The reason insults hurt, the reason failure causes despair, and the reason disrespect triggers blind rage is that a rigid object absorbs the full, devastating impact of whatever strikes it. If you build a wall of glass, a thrown rock will shatter it into 1,000 pieces. The glass is rigid, it refuses to accommodate the rock, and so it is destroyed by it. Now imagine throwing that exact same rock into a deep, calm lake. What happens? The water simply opens up, accepts the rock, swallows it whole, and then seamlessly closes back over it. The water is entirely undamaged. Within seconds, the ripples fade, the surface returns to a state of perfect, mirror-like stillness, and the rock sinks to the bottom, forgotten. The rock had power, but the water neutralized it effortlessly by refusing to resist it with rigidity. This is the essence of emotional fluidity. It is the ability to absorb the strikes of the world without taking structural damage. Think about the last time someone tried to provoke you. A coworker undermined you in a meeting, or a stranger insulted you, or someone close to you acted with profound selfishness. If you are like most men, your immediate reaction was one of tightening. Your chest tightened, your breathing became shallow, and your mind locked onto a single rigid defensive posture. You felt the overwhelming need to strike back, to defend your honor, to explain yourself, to argue, to force them to see your perspective. In that moment of tension, you were not in control. You were a puppet, and they were pulling your strings. By presenting a rigid target, your ego, you allowed them to land a clean psychological blow. The fluid man experiences that exact same provocation, but his internal process is entirely different. When the insult is thrown, he does not tighten. He relaxes. He observes the insult not as a threat to his survival, but as a passing phenomenon, a sound wave traveling through the air. He allows the negative energy to pass cleanly through him, finding no solid ego to crash against. Because he has no desperate need to prove his worth, the insult lands in empty space. He looks at the provocateur with calm, detached observation. He might smile, he might remain silent. He might calmly agree just to watch the confusion wash over his opponent's face. But internally, he is untouched. He is the lake, and the other person is a man foolishly throwing stones at the water, hoping to break it. To achieve this level of profound detachment, you must master the art of observing your own reactions before they take form. Bruce Lee studied the philosophy of Zen and the teachings of Jiddu Krishnamurti, learning that the space between a stimulus and your response is where your entire power resides. The rigid man has no space between stimulus and response. He is insulted and he instantly rages. He fails and he instantly despairs. He operates on pure, unthinking mechanical reflex. He is entirely predictable, and because he is predictable, he is incredibly easy to manipulate. If I know that questioning your intelligence will make you angry, I own you. I can make you lose your temper, compromise your values, and destroy your own reputation just by saying a few specific words. You are a machine with buttons, and anyone can press them. The fluid man has no buttons. He has dismantled the mechanical reflexes of his ego. When a stimulus occurs, his mind enters a state of total awareness. He feels the initial spark of emotion, the anger, the sting, the fear, but he does not identify with it. He watches the emotion rise like a wave on the surface of the ocean, and he knows that he is not the wave, he is the entire ocean. By cultivating this silent internal witness, he creates a gap. In that gap, he has the freedom to choose his response. He does not react, he responds. A reaction is emotional, predictable, and often destructive. A response is calculated, intelligent, entirely tailored to the exact requirements of the present moment. This is what it means to flow like water. Water does not react to the shape of the riverbed. It responds to it perfectly, filling every crevice, accelerating through narrow straits and resting in deep pools. It adapts its form to maximize its forward momentum without ever losing its fundamental nature. Consider the application of fluidity to the obstacles and failures you encounter in your daily life. Most men approach their goals with a battering ram mentality. They decide on a path, they lower their heads, and they charge forward. If they encounter an obstacle, a sudden financial crisis, a sudden betrayal, a sudden shift in the market, they crash into it. They beat their heads against the wall, cursing the universe for its unfairness, complaining that the wall should not be there, that they deserve an easier path. They waste their energy fighting reality. They are rigid in their expectations of how the world should work. The fluid man approaches goals with a completely different paradigm. He knows his destination, the ocean, but he does not rigidly commit to a single, unchangeable path. When the river of his ambition encounters a massive boulder, he does not stop to argue with the boulder. He does not try to punch the boulder out of the way. He instantly, seamlessly flows around it. He finds a new route. He slips through the cracks. If the path is completely blocked, he pools his resources, gathering depth and energy until he can rise above the obstacle and spill over the top of it. He recognizes that the obstacle is not preventing his journey. The obstacle is simply dictating the new shape of his journey. This psychological adaptability is the ultimate unfair advantage in a chaotic world. While other men are paralyzed by shock, paralyzed by grief, or exhausted by their own complaining, the fluid man is already moving. He accepts the new reality instantaneously. He does not mourn the loss of his original plan, because he was never emotionally attached to the plan in the first place. He was only attached to the outcome. By remaining unattached to methods, he becomes terrifyingly efficient. You cannot trap a man who is willing to take any shape necessary to escape. You cannot discourage a man who views every closed door not as a failure, but as vital information instructing him on where the open door must be. This brings us to the profound connection between physical relaxation and psychological power. Bruce Lee revolutionized martial arts by demonstrating that maximum force does not come from maximum tension. If you tighten your arm completely and try to throw a punch, the punch will be slow, clumsy, and weak. Your own muscles are fighting against each other. The tricep works against the bicep. The tension acts as a brake on your own velocity. To throw a devastating punch, the arm must remain completely relaxed, completely loose, right up until the fraction of a second before impact. The relaxation is what allows for explosive, blinding speed. The tension is applied only at the final moment of delivery, transferring the entire weight of the body into the target. This physical truth translates directly into the realm of the mind. Most people walk through their lives in a state of chronic, agonizing psychological tension. They are constantly worrying about the future, constantly regretting the past, constantly analyzing what other people think of them, and constantly defending their fragile egos from perceived slights. Their minds are clenched fists. Because they are so tense, so wound up, they are incredibly slow to adapt to reality. Their mental energy is entirely consumed by the friction of their own internal anxiety. They are exhausted before they even face a real challenge. To become fluid, you must learn the art of profound psychological relaxation. You must learn to drop your shoulders, quiet your mind, and exist fully in the present moment without bracing for impact. You do not need to walk through the world anticipating attacks. You do not need to mentally rehearse arguments in the shower. You do not need to obsessively monitor your status in the eyes of others. Let it all go. Relax the grip of your mind. When you operate from a state of internal looseness and profound calm, you unlock a terrifying level of mental processing speed. You see things other people miss. You read the subtle shifts in a person's body language. You detect the hidden motives behind their words. Because you are not distracted by your own internal noise, your awareness expands to fill the room. You become deeply, intensely present. And when the moment comes to act, when a decision must be made, when a boundary must be enforced, when a strike must be delivered, you act with devastating precision and zero hesitation. You move from perfect stillness to explosive action in a microsecond, and then, just as quickly, you return to stillness. This is the rhythm of nature. A cobra does not remain coiled and tense all day. It rests entirely relaxed, only unleashing its strike when the moment is absolute. But what about the concept of boundaries? Does being fluid mean you have no shape, no structure, no defining principles? This is where the metaphor requires deep contemplation. Water is fluid, yes, but it is not weak. And it is certainly not compliant. Water is heavy. Water is dense. Water exerts immense pressure. When you become fluid, you do not abandon your values, you protect them more effectively. A rigid man tries to enforce his boundaries through shouting, through aggression, through demanding respect. He relies on external theatrics to prove his strength. But his anger is actually a signal of his weakness. It shows that the other person has successfully disturbed his internal peace. The fluid man enforces boundaries with a quiet, crushing inevitably. He does not need to raise his voice. He does not need to posture. If someone repeatedly violates his space or disrespects his values, the fluid man simply withdraws his presence. He flows away. Or, if withdrawal is impossible, he sets the boundary with cold, emotionless precision. He states what will happen, and then he executes the consequence without a shred of anger or hesitation. Imagine trying to push a river backward. You can splash in it, you can yell at it, you can strike it with a sword, but the river does not care. It continues to flow exactly where it is going, completely indifferent to your tantrum. That is the energy of a man with true fluid boundaries. He is utterly indifferent to the emotional chaos of others. You can rage at him, you can attempt to manipulate him, you can try to guilt-trip him, but he simply observes your performance and continues moving in the direction of his own choosing. He is untouchable because he cannot be lured into an emotional wrestling match. He refuses to enter the arena of your drama. This philosophy also holds the key to surviving the darkest, most agonizing periods of human existence. There will be times in your life when the world breaks your heart. You will experience profound loss. You will face the death of loved ones, the betrayal of those you trusted entirely, and the catastrophic collapse of things you spent years building. In these moments of immense suffering, rigidity is a death sentence. The mind that refuses to accept the tragedy, the mind that demands that reality return to the way it was yesterday, is the mind that snaps under the pressure. Trauma shatters the rigid ego, but water cannot be traumatized. When a hurricane tears through a bay, the water is violently disturbed, churned into terrifying waves, and thrown against the rocks. But the moment the wind stops, what does the water do? It does not hold on to the memory of the wind. It does not carry the trauma of the storm. It simply settles, its gravity takes over, and it returns to its baseline state of tranquil equilibrium. It accepts the new reality. To become fluid in the face of profound grief is to practice the art of total acceptance. It is to look at the wreckage of your life and say, "This is what is." You do not deny the pain. You do not suppress the sorrow. You let the grief flow through you completely. You experience it fully, without resisting it, without judging yourself for feeling it. And because you do not dam it up, the grief eventually passes. It runs its course. You adapt to the shape of your new, altered life. You find a new way to flow. The man who survives the darkest night of the soul is not the man who grits his teeth and refuses to feel. It is the man who allows the pain to wash over him, knowing that he is deeper than the storm. We must also explore the concept of formlessness as it relates to identity. One of the greatest traps of the modern era is the obsession with branding ourselves, with carving our identities into stone. We label ourselves as introverts, as alpha males, as victims, as intellectuals, as successes, or as failures. We cling to these labels because they give us a false sense of security. But every label is a cage. As soon as you define yourself rigidly, you limit your options. If you define yourself strictly as a stoic, emotionless rock, you will be utterly unequipped to handle a situation that requires deep empathy and gentle connection. If you define yourself strictly as an aggressive conqueror, you will be incapable of the quiet patience required to build long-term trust. Bruce Lee realized that the ultimate martial artist has no style. He uses all ways and is bound by none. He takes what is useful, discards what is useless, and adds what is specifically his own. You must do the same with your personality. You must become psychologically formless. Stop trying to be a specific type of man and start aiming to be an infinitely adaptable consciousness. When the situation requires cold, calculating logic, you become ice. When the situation requires warmth, compassion, and nurturing, you become a gentle rain. When the situation requires devastating, unstoppable force to protect your family or your livelihood, you become a boiling geyser. You are not trapped in any single mode of being. You simply observe the reality of the present moment and manifest whatever energy is required to master it. This makes you incredibly mysterious and completely unpredictable to your enemies. They cannot profile you. They cannot predict your next move because you have no fixed pattern. You are a mirror reflecting their own flaws back at them, offering them no solid surface to strike. To cultivate this extraordinary state of being, you must engage in a daily practice of mental subtraction. Society teaches us to constantly add to acquire more beliefs, more opinions, more defensive tactics, more rigid philosophies. The path to fluidity is the path of letting go. It is the continuous process of unlearning. Every time you find yourself clinging desperately to an opinion, ask yourself why. Why does my ego need this opinion to be true? Every time you feel the hot flash of anger when someone disagrees with you, observe it. Step back from the anger and watch it burn. Realize that the anger is just a chemical sensation in your body triggered by a threatened ego. You do not have to obey it. Every time you catch yourself rehearsing a past argument, holding onto a grudge, or carrying the weight of resentment, consciously choose to drop it. Resentment is a heavy stone you carry in your pocket. It serves no purpose other than to drag you down and slow your flow. Forgive not because the other person deserves it, but because you deserve to move through the world without the burden of their memory. You deserve to be light. You deserve to be fast. You deserve to be free. The ultimate expression of this philosophy is the mastery of time and persistence. Water is incredibly patient. It does not need to destroy the mountain in a single day. A river cuts through rock over millions of years, guided by the quiet, inescapable pull of gravity. It simply does not stop. It flows day and night, in the dark and in the light, slowly eroding the hardest surfaces on Earth through the sheer power of relentless consistency. Modern men are obsessed with the sudden strike. They want the quick hack, the overnight success, the explosive display of dominance. But explosive energy burns out. The man who relies on raw motivation and aggressive force will inevitably crash into an obstacle he cannot immediately break. And when he fails to break it, he will become discouraged and quit. The fluid man does not rely on motivation. He relies on momentum. He sets his course and he simply keeps moving. If he makes only an inch of progress today, he accepts the inch. If he is pushed back a foot, he regroups and flows forward again tomorrow. He knows that his ultimate victory is a mathematical certainty. Not because he is stronger than the world, but because he will outlast the world. He has eliminated the friction of doubt, the friction of complaining, and the friction of ego. He is completely aligned with the laws of nature. He is quietly, terrifyingly unstoppable. As you walk out into the world today, look at the people around you. Look at how tense they are. Look at how desperately they cling to their opinions. How easily they are offended. How quickly they are broken by minor inconveniences. They are walking statues, brittle and anxious, waiting for the world to strike them. Do not join them. Do not buy into the illusion that you must harden your heart and stiffen your spine to survive. The hardest trees are the first to snap in the winter wind. Choose instead to dissolve the armor. Choose to become infinitely adaptable, deeply relaxed, and perfectly aware. When they yell, listen to the fear behind their volume. When they attack, step aside and let their own momentum defeat them. When the path closes, quietly find another way. Strip away your need to be seen as tough and replace it with the quiet realization that you are fundamentally untouchable. Empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless. Become so fluid, so vastly adaptable, and so deeply grounded in your own internal awareness that the world no longer has any solid edge to catch hold of. Pour yourself into the shape of your destiny, and when the storms come, as they inevitably will, let them pass right through you. Be water, my friend, and nothing will ever break you again.